Hey everyone, welcome back! Go Live is back, and we're gonna get sauce tonight! Thank you so much for joining us. I know there are a few other shows going on, but this is the one you want to join, yeah, because this is the only place where you'll get the sauce. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a great show for you. It's been a very busy week. My good friend has been really holding it down and doing the hosting the last couple of weeks. So all the professionalism you got used to in the last 2 weeks is going to go down the toilet as this slow motion car crash takes over. But yeah, I will definitely. We got good feedback with you, Asa. They said that it ran really smoothly and then probably how it should do. But I'm going to try and balance out my madness with your professionalism and lead to you. But before I go to introduce these saucy guests, I want to talk about. I want to introduce the co-founder, co-host, and a very expert news reporter, if you know what I mean. He killed it, Asa. How are you doing, man?
I am bitter and resentful and maybe a little bit vengeful, but it's not because you're hosting. I'm glad that you're hosting. I'm bitter and twisted about not getting to play any Halo this weekend. So while these two are talking about how great it is, I'm just going to be gnawing my teeth into dust. But otherwise, I'm fantastic.
No, I feel your pain. I feel your pain, both of us. Both of us didn't get into the flighting, which is so annoying. But I guess we can live vicariously through our lovely guests who haven't been very quiet at all about exclaiming how good Halo Infinite the flighting has been, how much fun they've been had. Thanks a lot for that, by the way. I'll remember that. But in no particular order, the guy who's been enjoying it, the guy who's been, we've been talking for quite some time today. Thank you so much for, me and people don't know, me and Colt, like best buds, man. We talk every day. He's been helping me with my studio redo and all that stuff and giving me life advice as well. Colt, how you doing, man?
Really, really good. This has been one of the most fun weeks in a long time. Gaming news is totally dead, but I've been doing nothing but...
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I'm happy to be here with you guys because I get to sit and talk to some of my best friends. So thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. But last but certainly not least is the gentleman. Yeah, we had to bring the power couple. That's what they are. Look how much energy they have. I mean, I have energy. Miles, Bumpy of Windows Central Gaming. How you doing, man?
I'm fantastic. Stoked to be here. It's a glorious Saturday. I'm running the gauntlet, back-to-back podcasts. But, you know, it's been an exciting week. And, yeah, cool kids have got to play Halo. I know not everyone's bundled in, but... You know, I think all the important people got the flight. So,
Miles! Wow.
No, I'm just kidding. I feel it. I see people hitting me up on Twitter just with sad gifs and pics, and I am bummed because my core friend group, I'm the only one out of my core like 4-player co-op group that got into the flight. So they're just sitting on the sidelines, sad, watching me play Halo. So I get it. Hopefully, more people get in the next one, so we can all share in the majesty of Master Chief together.
Yeah, man. Well, I'll remember that. Let's see. You've got extra time with the game. I will definitely compare our kill-death ratios, and we'll be playing together. Let's see. We'll be recording and see how well you do. But I guess maybe we should. I actually normally, you may think I'm a disorganized mess, and you'll be right in saying that. But normally I have a list of topics. But this week I haven't. But I don't think it's needed because there are a few things that have been quite. At the forefront of the news. Naturally, Halo is one of them. I guess we can talk about Halo Infinite's flighting initially.
For like 2 hours.
For like 2 hours. Or maybe I should
at least.
Again. maybe should I leave it to them? What do you think? Because I want to talk about the Ascent reviews as well. Let me talk about the Ascent reviews, because that has been a bit of a mixed bag, as much as, or at least as far as reviews are concerned, there's some inconsistencies there. I want to get Ace's thoughts on this as well, because he's been you've had the chance, Ace, to really test it out. You did a really good. We don't do reviews, but it was a very comprehensive preview with almost a Digital Foundry Technalysis. Actually, not Digital Foundry, Technalysis. How dare I compare the two? A little comparison at the end. But so for the people who have, I'm sure that all you lovely people know what's been happening with the Ascent. The Ascent came out and got mixed reviews. Generally met, actually, I've seen resoundingly quite positive with gamers and fans who've been looking forward to the Ascent. But it's that age-old argument of game reviews versus gamer sentiment, Metacritic, and the outliers and reviews that's been doing the rounds here. And I want to get some thoughts on this, because I assume both of you gents have played the game. Colt, Eastwood, I know you've been playing with Acer. What are your thoughts on the Ascent? How would you, if you would rate it, what score would you give it?
I'm so glad you asked me first, because I'm chomping at the bit to talk about it. Over the past couple days, I've got more and more energetic about the game. I should start off by saying I thought, it looked cool for the past year we've been talking about it. But I really, 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 really like the game, but it has so many issues that the UI is not great. Like, I think they just built the game and, okay, that works. Like, they didn't refine it, and the way you use the UI is not good. I've ran into 3 side quest bugs out of like 5 that have completed that won't let me complete, like a door is locked or something didn't spawn. So that's irritating, but the music, the atmosphere, the sound design, the feel of the gunplay, the way you level up and get gear for your character is all super satisfying. The game is just so satisfying, and Metro.uk gave it a 30 out of 100, which is unbelievable.
Yeah.
The game is a 70-something at least, with all of its problems. All of that is included, right? Yeah. I am really enjoying the game. In fact, I had to shut it off to get on the show. I had the sound cranked. I walk slowly around the hub worlds and just like take it in, just wish I could be there and get brutally murdered in this cyberpunk world. I think The Ascent is a great game. Really is.
Yeah. What would you give it if you give it a score? I know scores are a bit divisive, but
yeah, and I've only given like 3 or 4 game reviews in my time on YouTube. And I'm only level 16 or 17, so I'm only about halfway through it. So if I pretend I finished it, I guess I would give it a 7 out of 10 or a 7.5 out of 10. But that's just, I know there's problems, but it's so weird when we talk about numbers. Let me just say that when you talk about review numbers, I want to keep playing the game. I want to do all the side quests. Every time I sit down, I'm just so happy I'm playing the game. And that sounds like a 9 out of 10 to me. But I know realistically it's not a 9. But when you love a game and you just want to get into it and you can't wait to play it, that's really all that matters. I feel like that's what the is doing for me. And I know Miles and I probably don't line up on this, so I'd love to hear what he has to say.
Yeah. Ooh-wee! Ooh-wee, Miles. Talk to me. Talk to me about what your impressions of this are now.
So I'll start by saying The Ascent has been one of my most anticipated games this year. I'm a huge fan of the isometric kind of Diablo-ish design, and I'm a huge fan of the multiplayer co-op RPG genre in general. So going into this, I was really excited to kind of dive in and play it. I've only spent maybe 3 hours-ish with it, so I still have a ways to go. I'm not that deep. I'll do a compliment sandwich, and I'll start by saying that this wasn't what I wanted it to be entirely. Incredible physics. Some of the best physics I've seen in a game in a long time. So much attention to detail is packed into everything. When you smash the ground, the crater crumbles, the tile and the stone and the different kind of environmental textures in a really unique way. The physics are amazing. Throwing bodies around when you do your little mock punch, and the fire and explosions and watching people disintegrate into dust. Like, it all looks good. It sounds amazing. The soundtrack slaps every time that big synthwave industrial line kicks in. I'm just like, I feel it. It feels good. It's slow. It's really, really slow though. It reminds me of if you played Neverwinter Nights. It's like it's top down it's more of like a hardcore story-driven RPG than I personally was expecting, I guess. Which will be cool for some people because there are, unique characters. There's heavy storytelling. So if you want that, you'll find that and you'll love that. I wanted dumb gore co-op streamlined experience. There's a lot of downtime, so it's slower pacing. I was looking forward to just kind of going through a linear experience, blasting through levels, but it's not that. It's like the pseudo open world RPG. So if you are a hardcore RPG fan, there's a lot to love there. It hasn't grabbed me yet. I'm not McDonald's loving it quite yet. I'm gonna give it a few more hours, and then if it doesn't hook me by like 5 or 6, I'm probably just gonna move on, to be honest, because there's so many amazing games on it right now. But yes, the conversations about the review scores, the infamous 3 out of 10. Excuse me. That's a personal attack on me as a human being. That's so unfair. That's unfair that anyone would review a game different than what I expect this game to be. Okay? That's unfair. I got tagged by a lot of people on social media when the reviews went live. Like, what do you think about this? How dare they come? At the end of the day, we should be able to look at that review. If we care enough, read it, and then decide whether or not that 3 out of 10 is warranted. If you don't think it's warranted, you can just simply move on. Don't ever read Metro UK again. Move on with your life, hopefully. By quote tweeting it and amplifying it and blowing it out of proportion, all you're doing is like giving more weight and energy into this 3 out of a 10. Just, it's exhausting. I've written a lot of reviews in my day, and Metacritic takes every shred of nuance about a review, about a game, and boils it down to a single number, completely destroying any sort of constructive conversation you want to have about a game. And it's exhausting. It's so exhausting. Like every time any exclusive comes out, Twitter's just, Metacritic. Like, stop, get over it. And with Game Pass in particular, it democratizes the gaming experience. If you want to play that game, download it, play it. If you don't like it, move on. That's it. That is the investment. You can try it and move on with your life. But the Ascent is not a bad game. It's not a great game in my opinion either. So I don't know. That's where I'm at.
No, but that's really good. That's a good take on it. It's a good take on it. Ace, I want to get your thoughts on just like this whole point, because I know you're a very sensible guy. You'll shut it all down. But then I'll come back after with my madness. But I want to talk to you about, because we've got your preview there, and you're quite positive about this game. You think this game is better than what's the other game? Always forget the name of it. But you think that's really hype. Death's Door.
I prefer this to Death's Door.
False.
I know, controversial.
Oh, damn. False.
Yeah.
You think it's better than Death's Door?
I'll talk about the Ascent, but first I just want to rewind a whole way back to when you just earlier on you pretended that you're usually organised and have a list of topics for these things. Just in case anybody believed you, we've been running these for I think over a year now, and I think there's been about 3 occasions where you've provided a list of topics. So let's not be pulling that. I usually do, but this time just it's an exception. It's no.
Paris disagrees. Paris says Death's Door is Game of the Year contender. Fight him, Asa. What do you think?
Paris, we'll go head to head on that one.
You said it was overrated as hell. Yeah.
I stand by that. I don't want to be disrespectful, right? I don't want to be disrespectful to Acid Nerve. Like, what they've achieved with Death's Door is like, it's charming, it's compelling, it's got a lot to it, but it didn't grab me in the way that like Hades did. All right, the combat's not as good as Hades. The story, you play an evil crow that has to kill some innocent bad guys for some reason. Like you're a selfish little crow in it, and I don't know, it just didn't grip me. I didn't like wandering around completely lost. The world's not particularly interactive in it. It's charming. The NPCs, there's a crow called Badger, and I like it. The Ascent gripped me in a different way because the world is just. I love blowing it up. I love exploring it. There's a bit that I did today where you go up a lift to the top of a penthouse, and for no reason at all, if you go right to the edge of the penthouse, you see down the side there's like a club scene going on, and there's like a conversation there, and you can't even see the whole conversation. It's off screen, but it's just the world is just so packed and dense and rich with detail. Everywhere you go, it looks phenomenal. It's absolutely true that it's got a few bugs in it at the moment, especially if you. I don't know if anyone's familiar with the situation on the PC at the moment, but if you play it on Game Pass or through the Windows Store, you're not getting the same version of the game as you do on Steam. so the build is behind. You don't get the ray tracing, you don't get the DLSS and stuff like that. That kind of stuff it's a shame to tarnish the launch of it. I think, I don't know, a couple of weeks of bug fixing, like there's situations where it lets you go on a quest that you shouldn't really be able to go on. You can't access the area that you need to go to, and that disrupts the experience a bit.
Yeah.
But it's just so much fun to go in and play. You get the music, you get the lights, and it's just...
And it's co-op.
Yeah, exactly. It's co-op. I play it with good people like Colt, who serenades us with songs about the PlayStation as we go, and we're having a good time.
I've been playing with Chris Grinnell. I've played with Randall Thor. I played with Asa. I played with Obi-Wan and Zocker87. Yeah, it just begs for you to take control of the camera. You want to move that camera around in the world, but like Asa and I are talking about, like technically what's going on is there's things that aren't rendered that it wouldn't let you look at them if you wanted to. But the game just I did something that you were talking about, Asa. I went up to a penthouse for, I think it might be exactly what you're talking about. I went up to an apartment, and I walked out on the balcony, and the camera slowly pulled over the city. And it was this moment I haven't experienced since, this is for really old school gamers, but there was a Blade Runner point-and-click game that came out in the late 90s, and when you walk out into your apartment, which would be Harrison Ford's apartment, it shows the city and the music kicks in that's from the movie. Like this thing happened in the Ascent, and I was like, what? Like nobody who goes out to this balcony. It's just the game looks incredible. And I know what Miles is talking about. He expected, maybe Miles, you were expecting like a twin stick shooter where you're just constantly mowing your way through enemies, and the game's more what's the word? It's more deliberate. Like it wants you to get into small skirmishes here or there, walk around and check out the world. It's more like just a regular RPG, I guess. It's just not. It's kind of unique, isn't it?
Yeah, it reminds me of, like I talked about, Neverwinter Nights and some older RPGs in that vein, where you have the heavy narrative and you have this kind of isometric squad-based experience, but it's not. It's a twin stick control, but it's not a twin stick shooter.
Yeah. Yes. I can't. I mean, I've been house moves. I'm desperate to play this. I'm desperate to play Dead's Door. I'm dying to play these games. Let me read out some super chat. Mr. Joanna Dark, good support of the show. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. He goes, Sauce! I want to say it's a pleasure to spend my Saturday evening with you fine gentlemen. I'm ready for the great topics and saucy takes. Thank you so much, man. That means a lot, honestly. Thank you so much. Raider Blade as well. Thank you so much for the £5 super chat. Your comments in our videos make me laugh, man. Just arrived. I hope I'm not too late, Gaz. Nope, you're not. And Asa, I need you to do a source vid on those media bias. I actually did a source video on media bias where we exercised some demons. So yeah. Oh, less said about that, the better. Raiden again for the £5 super chat. He goes, oh yeah, Gaz, you and the Soul Squad did a great job. Death Door is like a Souls game. Guys, shout out to the people. Well, shout out to you. Asa, you killed it, the news thing. I gave you a script and you delivered it in an incredible way. I've been so busy. I haven't actually had a chance to talk to you like this now. You killed it. It was so funny. Your dry delivery. I don't know. Has your wife seen the video? Please tell me she's not seen the video.
Yeah.
She's like, what is this? You're some S&M freak. Or maybe she's not surprised. I don't know, Asa, but you deliver that convincingly. Shout out to Safe Zaki. You wrote the script for a lot of the initial bits, because I was like, I'm struggling with some of the dialogue. He came up with a lot of the Asa gags, the lines that were so messed up. Shout out to Asa. Shout out to Ben, who represented the PlayStation jihadi guy. And we can get away with it because we are the brothers. We're from those regions, so we can get away with it. The Source is all about bringing fun. So it's just not meant to be. It is on the border of taking the mix, but the
Gaz al-Habibi.
Gaz al-Habibi. That had to happen. And we've got a lot more in the works. And if we do cross that line, apologies in advance. It's all meant in good spirit. It will probably happen, but before we get cancelled, I hope you enjoy the show. That Source video. There's more coming. But thank you so much. I want to quickly just round up that topic on the Ascent. I just want to talk about this review score and Metro. Rookie, I know him. Rookie's a absolute massive troll. He is a notorious troll on the internet. He creates GIFs and memes. He swims in the console. Well, I know this guy personally for years, but he mentioned a point here that I'm not calling out Metro, but they are known to do really outlier reviews. What I get annoyed with that is, and I'm not shouting at the substance of the reviews, is the feeling that if you're Neon Giant and this is their first game, and this is a 12-man studio, and there's a big disparity between the review score for the Xbox versus PC, and there's a multitude of reasons why, but it must be so disheartening. It must be so disheartening to see that drag. I know people say don't look at Metacritic, but we inevitably do. We all do that. We all go rush to see the Metacritic score. No matter how much we say, make up your own mind, it does have a lot of mind share in almost everyone's in the core gaming circle. So it's a bit, and I feel sorry for Neon Giant in that regard. And if they've done it before. They did it with a PlayStation game earlier as well. And I just, that's in that sense, I don't like how heavily weighted Metacritic is, but it exists. We take it seriously, no matter how much we want to say otherwise. So that, they don't even
have that review on their social media on Twitter. I went and looked that morning because people were calling them out. They didn't even share that out, and try to push that as, hey, we put this out. We want to generate clicks. They didn't even tweet that out. And maybe they have other ways. Maybe stuff on their website goes on a different social media platform. But their Metro.uk Twitter account didn't even tweet out, hey, we reviewed the Ascent. Here's what we think.
Yeah.
Whoever wrote that, they maybe the staff doesn't care,
No, they know
in the overall
exactly
scheme of all the news. It's just a video game review. So them as a whole for their company, they didn't even bother pushing that review out. It's just something that they did. I don't know.
No, Metro are in a unique position. I've seen them start in the gaming space from scratch. They're the local newspaper here for the people and take the tube as a free newspaper. They can do whatever they want in the gaming space. They can push out the threes. They don't have to worry about it. So they knew exactly what they're doing, and they like doing outlier scores. It's part of the game, but I just feel like it's disingenuous in my opinion.
I would just, Colt actually said earlier on, we can go back and forth on the value of review scores, over and over again. It's a big topic in itself, and I don't want to drill into that too much. But he was saying, when you're playing it, it might feel like a 9. He's saying that's, but you can't ignore the bugs and the issues with it, and you acknowledge those. But it just goes to show there's never going to be a scoring mechanism that applies to games of all size and scale and type. So you can say oh, this one's got a 7, so it's better than this one that got a 6. That's worse than this one that got a 9. It's just not how games are. They're big and they're complicated. Reviews and scores have some merit in some place as a glance, but no 3 out of 10 for me for the Ascent.
I mean, look at Miles. Look at how Miles reacted to the game. I love the game. I would give it somewhere between a 7 or whatever higher, and I can't stop playing it. Miles doesn't want to play it, so I mean, of course, you're looking at It's so funny when you say the majority of people have their voice in Metacritic, the industry. But then you're looking at millions of people who play a game, and then you have user review scores, and then those get messy. So, you're right. We do every morning when a game comes out. We're like,
"Oh, it's the Metacritic." We do it. Everyone does it, no matter how. And people cry about Metacritic. And Miles is right. We share them so much. We give them exposure whilst decrying them. It's a weakness in us, but it's a part of the source. It's all part of the source. Paris. I remember reading you said you don't like the source. You better clarify it because it better not be our source. You need to come on the show, by the way. Layden Blade again. Thanks so much for the £5 super chat. Goes to Gaz. Oh no, I read that already. Sorry, apologies. I'm looking for the Ascent, says Layden Blade. Fun times and F the meta. That's what a lot of people say. And if you can do that convincingly, then go for it. Lord Roughness, thank you so much for £5 super chat. Oh, Roughness, I didn't know you were in the UK. I thought you were in the US. See, I can take Miles and Colt's criticism about the Ascent, but when someone gives it a 3 out of 10 score just because it's an Xbox game, that winds me up. Ooh, that's a saucy take. Is it really because it's an Xbox game? I think Metro are known to do this across platforms. I think they reviewed Returnal quite low, if my memory serves me correct. But what I was going to say was Ricky mentioned the fact that they didn't even score. Why didn't they post the score for Microsoft Flight Sim? And it's like, I don't know. They reviewed it, but didn't give a score. That's weird. Raiden Blade, thank you so much for the £5 super chat. You're making it rain. In the Ascent going off mission will get you wrecked. 1 minute you're fighting level 5 and running to level 20s gets your heart racing. I need to play that game because I'm surprised listening to you guys about it. I've seen your review as well, preview Asa, And what surprised me is how RPG-esque that game is. But yeah, Layden, I'm loving the Ascent, but people who will follow the Metacritic drones will be the gamers that miss out on great games, and that's true. A lot of people do put too much stock in Metacritic and actually do not play those games. So it's a bit of a lame one. But well, let's talk about a game that was reviewed very well. I think it was this week. Was it Microsoft Flight Sim come out this week? I want to talk about this week, and it got really high Metacritic scores. And there's some controversy, not controversy, but because the game, there's this topic about it, and I think there's some room to argue this. So I want to get your view on this. A lot of people, a lot of detractors, a lot of PlayStation fanboys, you pieces, will say,
Gas!
Sorry, what? But apparently, Microsoft Flight Sim does not count because it's a game. It's not a game. It's a simulator. Hey, so what's your view on that? Are we not allowed to count this as a game? Because
arbitrary labels that are going to bend and blend more and more over time as gaming gets bigger and experiences get more diverse. It's like the whole we've got our friend Darge who insists that he's not a gamer for some reason. Like, what are these labels and why do they matter? You're playing games. Be a gamer, be not a gamer, whatever. None of this matters. Is it a game? Is it not a game? You can get it for your Xbox. People like it. My dad's enjoying it. He's having a great time. Who cares if it is a game or if it is not a game? It is what it is. Keep your arbitrary labels, and it will be a commercial and critical success because it's a good game.
How's your dad enjoying it, by the way? Because he bought an Xbox Series S, which is, he's not really a gamer, boy. He is now. How's he enjoying it?
He's loving it, but he's not enjoying the controller. So he's going a hot ass flight stick.
Wow!
Ooh.
From
one of those at the moment.
Jeez. So Chris Cornell's got a hot ass. So funny story about Chris Cornell. He posted a picture up on social media of Flight Sim, and the PlayStation fanboy goes, "That's not real. That's a real life picture. You're just faking it."
That was hilarious.
Can you imagine? That's how good the game looks. The game looks so good that people are like, "You're faking it." And that's
a real photo. That's twice that PlayStation fans have done that this week. They got after Chris Cornell for sharing a picture of Flight Sim and said that's not a game, that's a photo. And then there was another PlayStation fan that got mad about the Forza Horizon 5 Mexico Riverside Canyon picture. That's not a game. And then all of a sudden, yoom, the cars zoom in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's mad. So the visuals, man, the fact that you can't discern them from real life, that we keep thinking we've hit uncanny valley, but we're getting there more and more. Although in fairness, these are races and flight sims. But yeah, I want to go talk back flight sims. Cole, have you played as a game? So you have played it or experienced Flight Simulator and what you're thinking about it?
Yeah, I was using my controller. I really like it. I don't know how much of it I'll play, but I've flown over several different locations. There's just a wonder when you play it, and I try not to do anything crazy with the plane. There's so much depth there that real enthusiasts will get into, but you can just pick any location on the globe. Like, it can spin the globe, and it's, in the middle of the day, it's dark over in the UK, so if I go over there, I flew over London at night for a few minutes. There's nothing. No, I didn't have live weather checked on. Rand told me about that later in the night because he was experiencing thunderstorms in Illinois where he lives. So he's like, fly over where I live, and I did, and then the whole ground was lit up with flashes. So there's nothing like Flight Sim on any other console. It's incredible what it does. And when you think about the visuals you're looking at, people are talking about graphics at 3090 versus the Xbox Series X, and I'm going to pretend like I know what technology is. Like that kind of argument is so dumb, because when you're looking, like Ace has got it on screen, what you're looking at is a mix of what Bing satellite photogrammetry can do mixed with a little bit of 3D geometry. Like, it's not really about graphics at this point. It's about real life locations captured in a data center. It's amazing. There's nothing like it. And when I land, I bounce my plane off the ground. It's ridiculous.
I have to really briefly just interrupt and shout out my dad, who's there responding, confirming the story, I hope.
Oh, awesome.
Where is it? Oh, shout out to Ace's dad. Where is he?
Awesome.
Andy W.
And shout out to him. That's so cool. Let me read these super chats very quickly. Yadani Koizada says, got access to flight sim, but not the Halo flight. Catching flights and feelings. Hashtag FOMO. I know that feeling. There's a super chat before that. It says, not gonna say F the meta, but if you're independent gaming media types are mega enjoyable bunch to interact with. Hi to the whole panel. Thank you so much, Yadani, and shout out to you getting the Source merch. I saw that. That was sick. Rated Blade, thank you so much for the £5 super chat. It goes, warning, flight sim when you land the plane, bring it to a stop before you put the controller down. Hoggy Chatty, good to see you, man. This is with Horizon Forbidden West being delayed. Does this mean Sony will not have a 90+ meta game this whole year? I guess this is why Flight Sim can't be a game. Oh, Source. Miles, look, people like to escape the console wars, but it surrounds us. This is the core gaming cycle. Just embrace it, Miles. Just embrace it. It's fun. It's fun.
It's not fun for your mental health. So, Flight Sim, is it a game? Is it a game? That's the burning question on people's minds. If you can have fun with it, it's a game. I had somebody telling me it was Gary Whitta when I was on the Xcast, talking about how he loved Power Washing Simulator and how he was having a blast power washing roofs. And to me, that sounds infinitely more boring than flying a plane. But he was having fun. He was loving it. So yes, Flight Sim is a game. If you can have fun with it, it's a game. I was playing last night with a friend, and we were trying to get the multiplayer working, which is kind of a battle. Like trying to get in the same area with your friends in Flight Simulator takes some work. But we did it. We managed after like 6 or 7 failed attempts. We were in the air, and then we spent the next 30 minutes trying to go on opposite ends of this island and smash into each other head on. We could never do it, but still a blast. I don't like Colt. I don't know how much I'm going to play it, but seeing it run on the Series X, seeing it run on the Series S in particular, ooh, it's weird. It's shocking that game can exist at all on the Series S, and then seeing it look really, really incredible on the Series S is amazing. That $300 machine is running Flight Simulator, where my PC, I spent probably about $1,300 on my PC, and I was doing like 1080p, like 30 maybe 30 FPS. Like that thing is a beast. My PC sounded like a literal jet engine trying to run Flight Simulator. So the fact that it can run on my Series X without it exploding is pretty impressive.
It is, man. It is really impressive. And, this is probably the way Microsoft actually saved itself. And we all talk about the power of the cloud and associate it with Crackdown. But really, the cloud stuff with Microsoft Flight Sim it's incredible. It's transformative for that experience. So that's amazing. And Series S, how is it running on Series S? Is it good? The performance pretty good?
Yeah, so it's 30. So I have a variable refresh rate display, so I can. It's definitely not consistently 60, but every now and then it'll get up to 60. The Series S is a locked 30, and I believe it's 1080p locked 30, and the Series X is 1440p locked 30 if you don't have a variable refresh rate, and then up to 60 otherwise.
Yeah. Raiden Blade with a £5 super chat, which is actually something I said. Is Gran Turismo series not a game? Because that's a racing simulator, right? And he goes, you ponies, look at you ponies, you can't handle the truth. I think there's an argument here, though, just to be a bit fair, Asa, but you can balance me out because you're infinitely more wise than me. I think the game could benefit from some gamification and stuff, like more challenges. I know there are some, but they're like, if they had like a career mode, like for the Xbox versions, perhaps. I know the Flight Sim community is very, very, protective about realism and stuff like that. But could that not work? Like, could you have like a campaign mode that basically gamify it a little bit more, or is that defeating the point against Flight Sim?
Raiden Blade, I love you and appreciate the super chats, but please drop the pony thing. It's impossible to have constructive conversations with people when you're using those labels. So please just but generally prefer not. Add some lasers and some missiles to Flight Sim. Sure, why not?
Yes.
It could do. You've got your Top Gun thing. They should add a little bit more combat. I'm sure they could add combat into that. I mean, everything's so built.
I mean, let's be realistic. Like what he's asking about is something that my friend Underachiever was talking to me about gamification. He said like objectives like you need to get to an airport and pick up a certain amount of people and then drop them off at a location before a time is over, or just
Crazy
different time
Microsoft Flight
trials.
Simulator to the Offspring, right?
But here's the thing that we don't know. Like Crazy Taxi. Here's some things that we don't know and understand is that this game was built for probably it's going to last for a long, long time because the way it's built, it's a live service game with the Azure cloud support. So somewhere down the line, they could add all kinds of different modes and just build upon the game for 10 to 20 years. Really,
Yeah.
I mean, because as they get new imagery, they can just patch it into the game. So I think you could just build on this game for a long time, but it has an entire training segment. I don't know. Just like you said, Gaz, like the community that is in Flight Sim, they're not looking for do 8 barrel rolls within 8 seconds. Like they're not looking for that.
Yeah, I know. They're way protective of that. I've been following them, and a lot of them are pilots, funnily enough, and then they're really appreciative. And that comes from high praise from pilots. So I'm seeing proper pilots in the comments and like, this is amazing. And that's where I'm like, all right, I have to go back and rely on their judgment.
But what are they doing? They're pilots. Why? Like, I'm going to get home from my piloting and I'm going to do more piloting.
I know this is so weird. I know this is so weird to me. It's just like, oh yeah, I'll go home and do my day job like all over again. Weird. Pilots are weird. But maybe they enjoy their life so much that they want to do it when they can't. Scatterlight, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. He goes, isn't Super Mario Sunshine a power washing sim? Yeah, maybe. Raven Blade, thanks so much for the £2 super chat. He goes, imagine Red Bull Racer being added to Flight Sim. There's so much scope there. You're right, Raiden. There's so much scope there. I want to talk about something that's a bit contentious that's been doing the rounds. PlayStation have been having a hard time with their PR lately, and this one was at the forefront this week. And it was the whole fiasco about the PlayStation 5 SSD Fiasco, where the beta has been released for beta users to upgrade their SSD. And it's such a complicated mess. I'm sorry, but I don't have time for this nonsense. I'm being legit. It's okay. So for people who haven't been following it, on the Series X, you get a proprietary drive and SSD, and you chuck in the back and memory sorted. Easy. On the PS5, you got to find some compatible SSDs that cost quite a lot of money, a lot of them more than the proprietary drive for the Xbox, and then you have to put. Asa, am I right? You need a possibly compatible heat sink and then transpose it into the drive, and you have to. Sony are telling you to be careful as they do it. So basically, your PlayStation users are the beta testers testing out their warranty and risking their console's health with this SSD upgrade. What's your take on it before I speak to the gents about it? Because to me, it just seems so comparatively ludicrous and just over-engineered. As like Sony haven't thought this through, or they didn't think their console through.
Under-engineered.
Under-engineered, perhaps, yeah. To be fair, though, I mean, the rollout being this far after the console release is a mess, and waiting for manufacturers to catch up is a mess. But there has been, so Aorus have shown on Twitter that they have kind of specifically catered for the PlayStation 5 with one of their drives, and it is just a case of pushing it, and you don't have to worry. I don't know if anybody has had the joy of fitting one of these drives into their PC, but they have the most ridiculous fitting mechanism. It's not fun. The screw is just like, they come with this.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's tiny anyway, and it's a painful thing. And you see the first thing when they did the PlayStation 5 teardown, and they showed that bay, and it had those little familiar. They have a little mounting thing, and the tiniest screw you'll ever see. And I was like, oh no, you're gonna put this on console players. It's gonna be a disaster. And it's been the same way for PCs though. So for the longest time, I've been waiting for someone to come out with like an easy, like a clip or a mechanism to make this drive installation easy. But it hasn't happened in the PC space. Now for the PlayStation 5, Aorus have come out and shown either they're being a little disingenuous and not showing the full process, but the clip that they're showing is just you thumb, you push it in, and it's done. If they're cutting it short and then you're supposed to grab one of these tiny little mounting things and screws and fitting it in, then that's still a problem. But if manufacturers are going to go, yeah, there's demand here, let's make it simple, then Sony will be all right in the long run.
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a mess right now. Definitely, if you're an early adopter of the PlayStation 5 and you run out of storage, which you almost certainly have, it's not encouraging.
It's not encouraging, and you've already got 600 something gigs of, which is not much. It's like 3 Call of Duty Modern Warfare or Warzone games. So it's just like it's a bit of a problem. Whereas comparatively, Xbox was getting a lot of flack for its pricing, but the simplicity of that drive. I mean, come on. You can't deny it. Cole, what's your take on this whole thing? Because I know you've been swimming in the source with the memes you've been making, and and you shared on Colin Moriarty's thread. Spurred on by me. Sorry.
yeah. Colin Moriarty did that whole thing about how the PlayStation 5 is the holy grail, the highest selling console right now. Can I swim in the sauce for a minute, guys?
Oh, you
Do I
have
have permission?
full consent. You don't have to ask for permission.
So, yes, of course, the PlayStation 5 is killing it in sales. But I just want to remind people that that's the only way to play PlayStation games, to buy a PlayStation. Yeah. And there was this article that came out that, and I don't know how true it is, but this article speculated that 25% of PlayStation 5s have not even been turned on yet. And I don't know how that number could be so far off, because PlayStation guys were mad that I quoted this article and sent the link out. But, if there's 2.5 million consoles that are sitting in scalpers' basements or sitting on eBay, or people are sitting on them and haven't turned them on for some reason, that's a nice big chunk of consoles. But there's this big thing about how great PlayStation's doing, but the whole narrative is changing so much because Xbox says you don't have to buy an Xbox Series X. We want you to buy a Series S if you want, or stay on the Xbox One and use a browser on your computer, or buy a PC, or use your phone. And of course, PlayStation is going to continue to sell more consoles than Xbox. Xbox will never report that number. But your question about like the whole SSD thing, I did like a little meme where the guy from Monty Python's Holy Grail, it's like, I farted in your general's direction. He was hanging on to the SSD and yeah, I shared that out. Yeah, it's all in good
The meme, the meme's good, but that impression, oh no.
What? Do you know this movie really well, Asa?
I'm not doing it. You can't trick me.
You're making
as far as
fun
I
of his
remember, he
impression,
doesn't.
but-
It's not so much a British accent as a little snide. I don't. Anyway, that's beside the point. But as you make me blush over here, but the SSD thing, from an engineering perspective, obviously they said we need to get expanded storage. Let's just put something in there like we do on PCs. And Xbox was thinking. I mean, the way people clowned. Darn it! I have the lid in here somewhere, but my Seagate expansion, like the way that people clown that, oh, we're using memory cards again. So it's just been one of those ridiculous arguments where Xbox even put out a tweet yesterday saying, we're so glad that you could just plug in and play our expanded storage. And diehard PlayStation fans got so mad that they did that because, they said they don't do the console war. It's like, look, their product is doing something better. And the other thing is the price, right? $220 for 1 terabyte. Right now, there are 2 models of SSDs that Digital Foundry is sure will work in the PS5, and they're $199. Right now, the Xbox expansion drive is getting close to $200, and then it's going to open up for third-party companies to make the drive, which will bring the price down. But this is the mess. This is the mess that we're in. Solid state drive storage is really expensive. So
yeah, it is. Sometimes it's dwarfing the cost of the consoles if you have anything above a terabyte. But it's pretty mad. The Miles, see, even Xbox likes to swim in the sauce. They have been dying, gagging. Any give them a little bit of like an inch of an argument, they have been boom on social media. They've done this before. This is how you expand your memory. So, what's your take on it, Miles? Do you think it's warranted? Do you think this PlayStation thing is a mess, or do you think it's been a whole load of hoopla over nothing?
Yeah, I think Xbox and I are on the same page here. Being nice doesn't necessarily mean you're swimming in the sauce. Stating a polite fact about your ecosystem and how convenient it is to upgrade your storage, is that swimming in the sauce, or is that just explaining the benefits of how amazing and convenient the Xbox Series X is? But on one hand, it is blown out of proportion because everyone here knows there's a contingent of people who just want that clap back. They want back from a decade ago when PlayStation had, this is how you share games, and they did the little cheesy video. There is a huge percentage of people on Twitter who just wanted that clap back, and that's why there's so much sauce, because it's not different than like the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4. Arguably, it's probably easier to upgrade your storage in the PS5 than it was on those. The actual installation of the M2 is not that complicated. It's more complicated than the Series X and S by a lot, because you simply plug this thing in and you're done. That's it. So yes, it is more complicated. We're in a world where consoles are getting closer and closer to PC, and PlayStation's fully embracing that. You're getting a true PC experience when you upgrade your storage. Come on, guys, get excited.
That's a take. That's a take right there.
So there were conversations about proprietary being bad with Xbox. Xbox is basically forcing you to have this little stick, and you have to plug this in. This only works with an Xbox. It doesn't work with anything else. So there was criticism that was valid, saying, is that the right approach? We saw Sony do that with the PS Vita, and RIP to the Vita because of that proprietary storage. PlayStation, on paper is like, hey, we're going to let you have a huge list of compatible devices. What I don't like about this whole situation isn't the installation. It is the fact that PlayStation is having its users and players beta test this far after launch. Like, not only did they not beta test it themselves and have a certified list, these drives we have tested, they will work for sure. They're not doing that. They're saying, here are the specs. We are not going to guarantee that this is going to work. And if you don't put a heat sink on and it breaks your console, then sorry, that's kind of on you. And that to me, I don't like that. I think that is the most egregious element of this whole upgrade process, is that Sony will not support its customers. Sony's expecting their players and customers to do X, Y, and Z. And we've seen this with save transfers. We've seen this with upgrades from PS4 to PS5 games. Sony keeps demanding more and more from its players. And it's when we have Xbox doing well and making things as convenient as possible, it's easy to point that out and say, Sony sucks. If Xbox had a similar upgrade approach and was doing things similar, we wouldn't be having these conversations. But Xbox isn't. And we can look at PlayStation and say, why do we have to do this on PlayStation? Like, we don't have to do this on Xbox. So what's the deal here?
That's a valid
People should have
question,
wondered. They should have been curious. Like, when you first fire up the PlayStation 5 and it brings up the UALA and it says, Sony are not responsible for any house fires. Like, it should have raised some alarm bells, but I think people just click agree.
But
it's not true. That's not in there.
It's not in there. I couldn't tell for a second. Wait, does it say that? Maybe. Raiden Blade, thanks so much for the £10 super chat. He goes, I'm not a PS fan, and this is what you were saying, Miles. Why the hell did Sony not do the testing themselves? Well, I'm sure they did, but why are they basically leaving it to the users to test? And yeah, absolutely valid question, man. When Mark Cerny on the road to PS5 stated that we are working with companies to have a list of listful gamers, and you're right, it sucks. Like, some people say it's not that intimidating, but then getting a heat sink and then testing out myself, it's not like I'm technically completely moronic, although Issa will argue otherwise. But that still intimidates me. I don't want to bother with that. It's just unnecessary faff, especially comparatively, where I could just chuck this little thing on the Xbox, boom, we are done. Massive disadvantage as far as I'm concerned. Oh, Raiden, thank you so much. You've been making it, but that's a really good super chat. £5 super chat goes, and this is a saucy take, but there's credence to this. They're saying, look, only 10% of PlayStation gamers buy their own first party. I think he's talking about exclusives, not first party, but exclusives. 560,000 sales for Returnal and 1 million on Ratchet & Clank when there's 10 million consoles out in the wild. Very quickly before I go on to Halo Infinite, we talk about this thing.
You need to change that. I'm sorry, guys. I got in one of these arguments. I'm staying out of some of these arguments on social media about stuff like this, but you need to change that word to not only, but change it to typically, because typically, like, the majority of the big exclusives on PlayStation sell around 10 to 15% of the install base. On Xbox, it's a lot lower. So it's just, there was that information that came out about how great the PlayStation's doing, and about how important it is that they're releasing their games on PS4. It's a really big deal because a game like Returnal sold 500,000 plus copies on an install base that was at least 7 or 8 million at launch when the game launched. So it's super important for a game, especially for Housemarque, where they went out on a limb and made this game that a ton of people loved, but it was kind of out of their realm of what they've done before. And it's a genre not everyone loves. So that game didn't do extremely well, but 500,000 copies or units is still really great for game sales. So the whole thing about typically 10% or around 10% of exclusives are in the install base really speaks to how important it is to get your games out to more places than just one piece of plastic. And that's why Jim Ryan has got Nixus and they're going to PC. It's really important for the health of these developers that are making games.
Yeah, absolutely. Miles, but I want to get your take on this. The whole point about, well, like Colt says, it's important to get this across platforms, but also on the point of exclusives, though, we make so much noise about the value of exclusives, yet the PlayStation guys don't even buy their own exclusives, or at least the vast majority of people. The multi-platforms is where it's at. Asa always says it. That's where it's at. Do we put too much focus on exclusives as gamers?
I mean, obviously both, or I should say all, Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation are the ones putting the most emphasis on exclusives because for them on paper, that it is the most enticing reason for you to buy into this ecosystem. So on that sense, that exclusives are a big deal. But multi-platform games always sell better. Games that release on, console and PC always sell better. And we're seeing that with Ratchet and Clank and Returnal, which I talked about Returnal ahead of launch to basically say that was a key gauge for, PlayStation 5's $70 price tag, because Returnal, people love it. Like Colt said, it's a game that, was reviewed well. People seem to love it. Obviously there's bugs and some issues that, kind of permeated the launch. But that being said, this was an incredibly niche game, a hyper difficult horror game. It's incredibly niche, and so putting a $70 price tag on that, I was really curious to see what these figures were going to be. And as we saw, there was a lot of marketing push for it. Not everyone grabbed onto that, and I hope that PlayStation was prepared for that. I hope they understood what the market for a Returnal would be, because I don't want them to see the sales of Returnal and say, we're not doing anything like that anymore. This did not sell 5 million, so shut it down. Ratchet and Clank, that only selling 1 million to me this deep is kind of interesting. I think that's more interesting than the Returnal sales, because that had this broad, wide appeal. And that game reviewed phenomenally. People loved that game. I haven't played it myself, but people loved it. And so that only sold 1 million. So we're in this question where, do dedicated console exclusives matter as much as they used to? How many people do you think bought a PlayStation 5 for Ratchet and Clank? I'll pose this question to the panel. Realistically, how many if you're throwing out a figure, how many people bought a PS5 for an exclusive, which we know that's PlayStation's strategy right now?
Yeah, well, the sales number say it is what, 10%? Well, how many? Not even that, right? So
the game sold 1 million copies on PlayStation 5. But what I'm asking you guys is, how many people bought a PlayStation 5 for Ratchet and Clank?
What I think is also interesting there, though. So I'm not going to dodge your question. I'm going to say approximately 0. Like, very few people are going to buy into that IP. It's a popular IP. But what's interesting about that one in particular, in terms of sales figures, is there's a very clear precedent that they can track, because the previous Ratchet and Clank was about $30, $35, something like that. It was a budget price release. So if the previous one sold 2 or 3 times as many, then Sony can be looking at those numbers and going, hey, 70 was the wrong price point here.
Yeah.
Like,
they sold the 2016 Ratchet and Clank for less than 60?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was a budget release.
At launch?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
How
and
loud
that was
aircon,
similarly
by the way,
polished
Paul?
for its time. So.
Is it that loud?
I can hear it quite well. I feel like it's so loud. I almost feel like it's cooling me down.
Just getting the breeze.
I'm so hot right now. Hold on.
No. It's not that loud.
No, I'll turn on my fan.
For the listeners listening to Spotify, I apologize for Colt Eastwood's indiscretions there. Sorry, apologies.
Shut up, Gaz. It's 100 degrees here.
I'm so sorry. No, you can keep it on, man. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Nope. I'll be
him
uncomfortable. It's your show.
Let him sweat.
Rated Blake, thanks so much for the £5 super chat. He goes, guys, Nintendo had RAM for the N64, which I bought. Saturn also had a RAM card. Dreamcast had a VMU. What do all these have in common with the series consoles? I don't know.
The RAM card?
So far, nothing, because the RAM card was required to play some of those titles. You couldn't play certain titles without it. I think there were jokes among the community or thoughts of expandable graphics cards with this Series X. Are we gonna be able to plug a graphics card in the back?
Yeah. I think that would be cool. But yeah, no, I don't know what that is, Raiden. You might have to let us.
You might have to clarify. I'm not sure what the.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I think that memory. We'll go beyond that and sales. But thank you so much, Raiden, for bringing that topic up on exclusive. Asa, do you have anything to add on the exclusives?
No, I'm caught in a I'm trying to figure out what those things have in common. So I'm useless for the rest of the show until I come to an answer on that one. It's like a Tetris game. I don't know.
Let me say something if I can.
I
was kind of looking at this past year. We all know that the first half of 2021 Xbox didn't have really any exclusives except for Falconeer and the Medium and maybe something else. So they didn't really have anything. But I never ran out of games to play since I got my Series X. I played Valhalla and Cyberpunk, and I've always been playing games. I mean, that's a normal gamer does that. They play whatever they have, right?
Yeah.
But what I'm looking at as an Xbox fan who's been waiting and asking for Xbox to step it up and bring some first-party titles, it looks like at this next 5 months, I'll be playing almost all exclusives for the Xbox, except for a few multiplats here and there, because it looks like, and Miles may agree with me, it kind of looks like the roadmap from now until the end of December is loaded full of games that are coming to Game Pass that are exclusive or timed. It's kind of crazy, and we haven't seen that on the Xbox platform in 5 or 7 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't want to do the stereotypical Xbox wait till next E3 meme, but with everything that's kind of on paper and on the horizon, there's a legitimate chance that the E3 for Xbox in 2022 is that Xbox E3 of dreams that basically, PlayStation had in, 2015, 2016, where it's just this incredible stacked lineup of huge games, because there's a lot of stuff on paper and a lot of stuff we don't know about officially that is going to be revealed and shown at E3 2022, and it's going to be good. It's going to be real good.
It's going to be amazing. I agree with you there, Miles, because I think the meme is dead because they did such a good job at this year's E3. So, and there's so much they can do just by, even if they didn't reveal anything new, they showed the gameplay for Perfect Dark and Fable and the new Forza and Avowed and Elder Scrolls. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Just the names of these games are just stupid. It's not stupid, it's stupid in a good way. So yeah, I agree. Oh man. But yeah, and hopefully we're all at E3 in person, so I can see Jason Schreier run away from me in real life. But yeah, no, I think it's going to be epic. And Colt, you're right, man. It's such a positive time. One thing, I'll just. By the way, I'm not holding this like this because HyperX sponsor us. It's so my mate Sam can hear us because I'm on headphones. I don't want him to feel left out. HyperX, do not. Someone sponsor us, please. We need the money. I was going to say. What was I going to say? Oh, damn it, Gas! I had a good point as well. Well, I'll leave that for the next point. Shut up, Lisa. I'm going to go into Halo Infinite and the flighting. You two lucky pieces of. I think apparently this is okay. There's controversy there with Halo stuff because I want to talk about the 343, man. They annoy me as much as I love them. It's a love-hate relationship. It's almost like I'm married to them. 343. Well, let's talk about the positive stuff. Flighting, semi-positive because me and Asa didn't play it. Colt, what's your impression of the Halo Infinite flighting? And chat, let me know what you thought about the Halo Infinite flighting. Is this all set up to be saucy? Is this going to be good? Does it look positive?
This is a good discussion. So, the first day, we were probably supposed to be playing those who were fortunate enough to get in, right, Miles?
Oh, you piece.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. The first day, I think we were supposed to be playing in the afternoon because they said optimal time was 12 to 2 on the West Coast where I am. But they did not. They weren't able to get people in until 6 in the evening, and by then, they had such a bad server problem as everybody jumped in that 6 o'clock people started announcing they were getting in. I didn't get in until 11 o'clock at night. So I played like 45 minutes. By almost midnight, I was beat from a long day of waiting and setting aside other stuff so I could do the flighting moment one. And the first day, it was like one map, 4 bots, like 5 or 6 weapons, or 3 or 4 new weapons, and that was it. So I was like, oh, well, I mean, but the thing is, the game feels and plays really well. And I'm like, after like 8 matches, I'm like, that's it? But in the morning, they brought in new content. And that's where I'll pass it off to my man, Miles.
Yo, Cole, you know, I feel you. I'm so sorry you had to struggle through a delay to play Halo Infinite early. I know it's hard. I know, dude, like, waiting those extra few hours, like, I didn't get to play it the first day. I went to bed, you know? So,
yeah, we talked. Yeah, you gave up because we weren't getting in. Yeah.
Yeah, I had the insider ranges pending thing for a while. It's like, whatever. I'll let the servers calm down. I'll dive in the morning. When I played that following morning, waking up to Halo Infinite, ooh, that felt good. Halo Infinite is a beautiful blend of Halo Combat Evolved and Halo 5. Meaning it's got the speed of Halo 5, but it acts as a lot of the mobility stuff, like your thrusters, your ground pound, your shoulder charge. That's all gone, but it's still got the speed. So they simplified it to sprinting and a slide. But something that I didn't learn until several hours in is you can slide into a jump and you just fly across the map. If you played Super Smash Bros. Like Ultimate and you've played Richter, that sliding kick, it's got that energy. You haul ass. So you can get some momentum. You combine that with the grapple shot, which they added. You're sliding, you're jumping, you're grappling on the ceiling, you're shooting across the map in a way that you've never done before in Halo. And it felt so good. The guns are huge. Every single gun sounds massive. I will say flat out, Halo Infinite is the best sounding first-person shooter I've ever played. Like, hands down. Like, Halo Infinite sounds immaculate. When you fire that sniper rifle, you hear that echo for like 10 seconds. That thing sounds humongous. The skewer. Oh my God, the skewer. It's basically a giant spear launcher.
I hate you so much right now.
It's a giant spear launcher, insta-kill. If you hit someone with it, they are dead, guaranteed. Hard to hit people with, but oh my God, it sounds so mean. It's just got this big shunk. And you just feel it. Everything has weight. Your shields, your jumps, every single gun outside of the Needler.
Bulldog. The Bulldog and the Commando are really cool. The Commando is that military assault rifle that you saw in the gameplay demo. It has a holographic sight on the top. It's semi-auto and it's really punchy. It's great for hip firing. Like Miles was saying, you really have the combat evolved thing because you have unlimited sprint, so you feel mobile and quick. And I don't want to hear the purists talking to me about sprint. It feels good to sprint. It feels good to walk quickly. Hip firing is back. Most guns, unless they have a sight on them, are hip fire with a little bit of slight, like the oblique zoom, I guess, instead of aim down sights. It just feels great to take the AR and like just go while you chase down the bots. And on day 2 they ramped up the bots to this ODST bots, and it's like they did this Drivatar type thing. I don't know how they did the bot difficulty, but they act like humans. They jump, they throw grenades, they try and flank you. They're so smart. Like, once you got into the second wave with the new bots, like, the difficulty was so crazy. I was like getting frustrated that these bots were taking me down. But they did some magic behind there. The sound and the punch and the feel of Halo Infinite it's going to be so huge. People aren't ready. They tried to write off Halo for so long, but Halo is the game, and it is already showing in what little tiny bit of the game they've given us at this point. Like, it's just 2 maps and a few new guns, but it feels so good.
Chief is back in a huge way. The bots, like you talk about, it feels like you're playing against stereotypical like Halo players, like the Halo jump. You turn a corner, the bot's jumping out of cover. It's got the quick like duck, so the bots are doing like the quick duck. Bots are throwing grenades from like 100 yards.
They've teabagged, Miles. Did you see that on Twitter?
The bots have teabagged?
Yes, somebody got a capture of one of the red bots like teabagging and after a kill. So I would not be surprised. I don't think this is the truth, but I would not be surprised if 343 comes out in a couple weeks and goes, yeah, that was us playing in the servers. We've been trolling you. Because they have... This is a testament. Halo has always had the most smart AI. The enemies are always quick. They're quick to jump and throw grenades and flank. And it's what makes Halo more fun than most first-person shooters. It's very unique. But these bots, like, I don't know if they have a name to them that's all tied to actual developers at 343. So I don't know if they're doing like a Drivatar thing where they took their DNA of how they play and coded it into each bot, because you forget you're playing against bots because they feel like humans. And I know like Paris was saying on Paris and Destin were reporting as soon as they started that second update, like the bots are just destroying everybody, but you still come out and win. They're not that good, but you do feel really challenged. It's a great experience.
I've been more impressed if, rather than come out and say like, actually this was us playing, I've been more impressed if they say that one of the main reasons they did this technical test was these bots were learning player behaviors. That would be an awesome thing to come up with. But
that would be so
amazing.
Cool.
That'd be amazing. Because we were talking about this a few weeks ago on our show, Asa, weren't we? That the AI hasn't actually improved quite a bit since Halo CE's AI routines were still hold up to this day. And since then, it's been a bit of a stagnation as far as AI development is concerned. But if it's learning on the fly, Skynet is going to become active through Halo. What were you saying, Miles, about the Needler sound? Because you were about to say something about the Needler sound. Isn't that good? The Needler
the Needler's the weakest. Like of the guns, the Needler sounds kind of, honestly, kind of whack in comparison to how big everything else sounds.
It also looks small. The projectiles look smaller and more spread apart. Just by my memory of when you play the game, like when you shoot the Needler, it seems like the needles are smaller and they don't have as much. There's not all the big explosions.
Size matters.
I will say it feels like Halo 1's Needler though, in terms of actually being like strong, and the tracking is like Halo 1. So if they're even anywhere near the center of your screen, those needles are hitting them. So in that sense, it's way easier to use, which I appreciate, because it's been a roller coaster for the hardcore Needler fans in Halo over the years. So it's back to kind of the glory days of Halo 1, I feel like.
Yeah, they also... sorry, guys. They ruined the Covenant Carbine, or Covenant Carbine, as it's supposed to be called. But you remember the one that popped out the magazine at the top, the circular green magazine? It's now a burst fire, like, plasma ball weapon. It's like... as I give you sound effects, it's not as enjoyable to use as the single shot, like hip fire sniper rifle that it's been for so many years. So that gun is not good. I think the Bulldog shotgun's awesome. The DM, or I don't know, what else is there, Miles? That's
what is the fire one? Not the Burninator, but it's something ridiculous like that. It's the one that's got the alternate fire where it shoots horizontal or vertical. I'm blanking on the name, but it shoots basically 4 fireballs that bounce and scatter in hallways. That one's
in a
really good.
Yeah, in a horizontal configuration. But yeah, Spitfire or something like that.
Something like that.
Guys, I want to play this so bad.
Oh, you can pick up plasma ammo now, which is weird. When you have
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, you can straight up pick up plasma ammo now, which is going to kind of fundamentally change a lot of those Covenant weapons, I feel like.
Okay. Le de Melieu, thank you so much for the €5 super chat, because Halo is so sauce, or chili. I mean sauce. I'll say sauce. Je ne pense pas que je puisse venir en France until a couple of months later. You know what that means. J-Con, thank you so much for the Shout out, moment of silence for JCon79, who says he got grappled by a freaking bot. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh at you, but I should. Shout out to Gaming Beyond the Box in the chat. I hope you're doing well. What was I going to say? What are we going to get? So, hopefully, the invite for the flighting doesn't mean if I didn't get one now, I'm not going to get. There's going to be more, right? There's going to be more testing, and
they've confirmed there will be more flights. This first round, like through this weekend, they won't be sending out more invites, but there will be more flights, and there will be increasingly more players.
More this invites, is the technical preview. The flighting hasn't even started, I guess, right? This isn't considered the flighting.
I think this is, but it's not a beta. They've been very clear that this is not a beta. They probably will have an official beta at some point, but this is the first flight, I believe.
So I played last night with Randall Thor 19 of YouTube fame and Xbox achievement fame. If you've ever heard of him, go follow him.
Was he as bad as I'd expect, or?
Yeah. We were playing last night, and it's so funny. Like I said, okay, I gotta warm up because he'd been playing for a couple hours, and I finally got done hanging out with the family, and we were playing, and I did horrible, and he did awesome. He was at the top of the board. And he's like, Cole, you suck. And then the next match, I dominated. He's like, oh, I suck this match. But we tried to party up, and we would do a match and then go into the next one, and it would send one of us forward and leave the other in the lobby. So, and I don't know if this was made to party up in lobbies. Maybe a lot of people are doing it. Did you, Miles, did you have any problems keeping your friends in the lobby as you went from match to match?
So what we had to do is we had to constantly change who was the party leader, because we'd play 2 matches flawlessly. We had a squad of 4. We'd play 2 matches, it would get to the end, we'd go to queue up for another one, and it would just hang on the queuing forever. Nobody would get kicked, but we would just sit there. And then we would cancel it, make somebody else the leader, and then instantaneously get in. So definitely some lobby bugs.
Yeah.
A
lot of stuff isn't there. Like you go into a loading screen, it's completely black except for 4 little dots that kind of progress in the corner. Like none of that stuff is even in there yet. I think what they're really doing is they want to just beat the heck out of this build that's a month old. And the game looks good. I'm running it in quality mode at 100 FOV, which is not as crazy as some PC gamers like it, but just kind of widens it out just right for me. And I don't know, it's really nice. It's really nice.
I hate you guys, but it sounds really positive. It's really positive. The sounds, the feeling. That's what I want. What you said, Miles, about the movement speed. I love. That's what keeps me going. That's why I'm so addicted to Apex. Because the movement is so mad. There's so much scope for being good. Like wall running. Like you can wall hop in Halo, in Apex Legends. Like because it's harder to do, but you can do it. Things like that. And Halo's gonna take over my life. But one thing, see, 343. I can never rest easy with 343. I can never rest easy with 343 because 343 can just the flighting was a mess. They didn't communicate. The thing that really pissed me off is somehow they have managed to leak the campaign stuff because so that people don't know, and this is going to be an absolute nightmare for us because for people who don't know, there's some notes or in the flighting someone's data mined and figured out that the campaign notes were there, including spoilers up until the end of the game, which lead to apparently a massive plot twist. Now, the fact that now I know that a plot twist exists pissed me off so much because surprise ruined. Like, where's the plot twist? Where's the plot twist coming? Where's the plot twist coming? So that's a spoiler anyway in that sense. And now we're in the core gaming circle. It takes one piece of crap to ruin it for us. I hope it's not. I really don't want it to be ruined for me, man. Like this is. But I don't understand how that happens. 343. How do you do that? How do you manage to do that? Like. So I was arguing with a couple of friends who were like, "Oh, who cares? Everyone cares about it. It's only about the multiplayer anyway," which annoyed me. I'm like, no, it's not. For a lot of people, it is the campaign. Miles.
Wait, I want to ask you a question first. If you consider that a spoiler, why did you just say it out loud?
Oh my
away
god!
on the internet, right?
Ah!
No.
What have you done? What have you done?
If I'm going down, you're all going down with me. That's what the case is. Miles, it's going to get ruined for us, isn't it? We're in the cool gaming circle. Someone's going to troll us. It's going to get ruined for us.
People have been trolling already. I'm grateful. I saw the leaks making the rounds, and I was like, at first I wasn't sure how legit it was because it was just, hey, data miners have dug into the game and they found basically quest descriptions. I think there are mission descriptions that were in the files that people found, and then people realized that, oh damn, some of these mission descriptions are like X happened, so you're going to do this. I haven't seen any of them so far. I'm just waiting to open up my YouTube comments one of these days when I talked about Halo and have somebody be like, blap, and I'm like, damn you to hell. But I hope
inviting them to do that. Don't give them ideas.
I hope it's not spoiled. There are people trolling and taking the leaks and using them to like spoil it for people who care. But yeah, it's a huge bummer and a huge oopsie when you're releasing a build on PC because
Oopsie.
people are going to data mine. No matter what you put out there, no matter how benign the information is, people are going to tear that apart and see what they can pull out. And apparently they pulled out something real juicy this time around. So
yeah,
I don't want it to be spoiled. I hope it doesn't. Fingers crossed that we can make it the next, God,
How
3 months. 3 months of, it's going to be tough. I'm just, be careful. As soon as you see the word Halo, be like, oh,
Delete everything, including your.
What are you doing, Mom?
You get a flight. You get a flight invite, and you're like, delete.
So people listening on Spotify are just going to be like, what's happening there? Is Miles sounding mildly aroused there? But that is not what he was trying to relay. It was more shock and horror. The General C says the same thing. He saw the tweet from Joseph Staten, and he's going to avoid Halo tweets like the plague. Good luck with that, because they're everywhere. So it's a bit of a falafel. Is that
We
how
just
I
need
say
to come up, we need to make up enough fake spoilers that people can see a spoiler and be dismissive of it because they've seen so many fake spoilers.
See, what they
Yeah.
should have done is the Game of Thrones thing and filmed like 8 different and had like 8 different descriptions for every quest in there, so nobody knew what the real one was. But apparently not, because they have addressed it publicly, so they know important information has gotten out that they didn't want.
They said they're going to be doing some takedowns, and people are putting stuff on their YouTube channels, and it's been really messy.
Yeah. I'm going to round up today's. Oh, sorry.
No.
I'm going to round up today's chat with the last topic, which is apparently people are really shocked and dismayed that Studio Nixes, which have confirmed that they're working on porting games for the PlayStation 5. Massive shock, everyone. The porting studio is going to be doing porting for the PS5 games to PC. What's going on there, Miles? I just want to quickly get your take on this. And what are you? I know you're a Windows Central guy, but you're not officially linked with Microsoft, I think.
No, we're not.
You're independent. You're independent.
I just get paid 15 cents every time I say Game Pass, but outside of that, no official partnership.
You get paid 50 cents for saying what?
Every time I say Game Pass, Game Pass.
But,
15 cents. He said 15, so he can buy
I'm trying to
like
renegotiate my terms, but we'll
you
see.
can get a crunchy taco at Taco Bell by the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I want to just this week there are. Well, I think it was last week, but I want to get. I don't think I got to speak about this in great detail. 15. Oh no, actually, this was after our Go Live show. 15. So I like Shawn Layden. a lot. I think he's a really cool guy. And he recently did an interview, but the big takeaway was this weird number that he came out with, which did the round. So people who don't know, if you didn't watch the source video, thank you, Ashtray. I'm glad you liked the source video. Shawn Layden said that, again, he's doubling down on the sentiment that apparently Xbox Game Pass is destined to be a loss leader until it gets 500 million subscribers, man. And I don't
more than
understand,
any subscription service that exists, by the way. That figure is higher than Netflix, which is the highest. So let that sink in.
Translation? Is that a translation error or
No, it's not. It's not, because ultimately.
Or did he mean to say some? Did he not mean to say subscribers? He meant to say dollars or pesos. I don't know what happened there.
No. He didn't mean to say it because then he later on goes on to say that, by the way, there are 250 million consoles out there, so it's going to take a while. So he's given a clear example there, and he knows the figures he's talking about. Funnily enough, he's joined a board, like an advisory board, right? And after I made a tweet, the advisory board followed me, and I'm like, oh god, here it goes, time to get sued by Shawn Layden for being too saucy. He knows you'd have addressed it. This has been doing the rounds with loads of multiple media outlets. Miles, what is going on? Are people like really distrustful? They're really, really doubting Game Pass's profitability. Whereas, didn't Phil Spencer already allude to the fact that it's already profitable?
Yeah, so I did some interesting math on Twitter. You can find a thread that I made there, but kind of breaking down the figure that Shawn Layden threw out with $120 million game taking, let's say, roughly 4 years. Broke all that down. So if you look at it on paper, not a lot of companies have the infrastructure to survive the investment period and the creation period of a service like Game Pass. The reality is, initially, that investment is incredibly expensive, and you're going to have a period of time where you're not bringing in money. But as the investment dies down and your subscriber growth grows, that's going to be huge. Phil Spencer, I don't know if he said that Game Pass is already profitable. He might have alluded to it. He hasn't said it blatantly, like outright yet. But he has said that don't worry about what we're doing with this. It's not your concern of how this is running. Just play the games, please. It's going to be fine. Because they know at a certain point, it's going to be easy once they can start staggering these. Because you're going to get to, X million dollars every single month is coming in. So you're not going to have to wait. If we look at PlayStation's model, they spend all this money, they spend all this time and years, and they don't get any money in the interim on that game. On that investment of that, because we can look at PS Now, we can look at their subscription services, their other game sales, but the reality is, if we're looking at that individual product, they get $0 until it releases. So they have a 5-year period ish where they're not making any money at all on that product. Game Pass is the reverse, where no matter what they have, that revenue stream is going and to be sent to these projects that are in development. So there's a constant stream of revenue for that to exist. So the 500 million subscriber figure is wildly just outlandish, because like I talked about, no subscription service right now has that. Like I said, Netflix is the biggest. They don't have that. So no, I think realistically, if they hit 50, they'll be just swimming in cash. If they hit 50 million subscribers, they will be just soaking up an absurd amount of money. And if they can go beyond that, I'm sure 50 million is kind of like the comfortable target. But if they can keep pushing that, I can't even comprehend the dollars that are going to be coming in every single month. And I think it was you and Jez alluding to this. I think Jez commented on this as well. And I think we were talking about this. The fact that Phil Spencer alluded in the IGN, was it Podcast Unlocked or something, where he said, where he was alluding to the fact that their model is simple. In order to make money from this, they're relying on higher subscription numbers. Mm-hmm. But Game Pass is also making money by inviting people or promoting people to spend within the ecosystem. So it's made people actually buy more games. So that spending is going through there as well. And then you're going to see increased spending versus, on DLC. A lot of games as a service games are going to benefit from that. So it's going to be a thriving environment. The 500 million figure is almost like a meme at this point. But what are your take on this game? Because we see this back and forth all the time. Colin Moriarty, not just shouting out Colin all the time, but it'd be good to have him on here. But he's quite dismissive of Game Pass's revenue or profit generation, and he always doubles down. Give him the slightest opportunity, he will go in at it. What do you think about this? Do you think this is just it's surprising that came from Shawn Layden? No,
I think it's quite simple. Maybe my take is different from everybody else's, but here's how I look at it. I think anti-Xbox or anti-Game Pass people will look at Game Pass as an isolated item. And I feel like when Shawn Layden made this statement, he was pretending like Game Pass exists on its own island and it has to be self-funded and self-sustainable. And if let's just pretend Xbox made Game Pass, they didn't have console and they didn't have all these other things. That Game Pass just there foray into business, and that's where they started. That's where the Xbox brand belongs and nowhere else.
Yeah.
Then he's like, well, you'd have to have this many subscribers to do that. But that's not how business works. Microsoft, even just Microsoft alone, Xbox is one arm of many arms that do things. And so Phil Spencer's like, don't watch my pocket when I'm talking about Game Pass, because Game Pass is one thing. It's a vehicle, just like the console. And I tell people this all the time. You know, what makes more money for Xbox? Selling a console or selling them a bunch of games? And everyone's like, well, duh, you know, they don't make any money on the console. Game Pass is exactly the same thing as a console.
Yeah.
It's not there to make money by itself. It's there to generate a perpetual residual revenue stream of money. And people don't look at it that way. They just keep thinking, like, they look at Game Pass and they isolate it down mathematically. That's not how it works. It's just one thing. It's like this is getting me. I hate people do food analogies. It's obnoxious, but Miles will get this because he's from my neck of the woods. Miles, you have a Costco where you live, right?
Mm-hmm.
Costco sells in their store for $1.50. You can get a foot-long hot dog and a medium soda for $1.50. Now, this is, and it's always been, and they said it will always be. So you go in and you get this foot-long hot dog. For you people in the UK, that's
I know.
I can make jokes, right? So foot-long hot dog. It's an all-beef hot dog, and then they used to have this area where you could put onions, relish, mustard, and mayonnaise, and then they have the station where you fill up your own drink. So it's $1.50 for this hot dog and a soda, which is, you're never finding that anywhere. But Costco said, we'll never lose that, because people will come in to get lunch, get that hot dog and a soda. They'll run around the store and come out and spend $100 on goods. And so, I'm sorry I had to do like a food analogy, but don't be a moron. Like, Game Pass is just a vehicle. Because when I tell my kids, hey, I'll get you guys Game Pass and you'll have access to 400 games, and it's only going to cost me $10 a month. $120 a year to let them play as many games as they can think of as they want to play. Why are you worried about if Microsoft's making money? Shawn Layden's comments were so far afield from reality. He's such a smart, amazing person that what he's done for PlayStation, whatever he's doing now, I'm sure they're so lucky to have him. I can't remember. I looked at the company. I don't remember the name of the company. Shawn, there's no way he didn't get it. I think he just looked at it as an isolated thing. Game Pass is not by itself. It would never make it if it was the only thing that Xbox was doing.
I would argue that even if we look at Game Pass as an isolated portion of Xbox's business model, that there is a future in the near term, within the next few years, where it is profitable alone. If we're ignoring game sales, if we're ignoring microtransactions, if we're ignoring all the other elements of the business, Microsoft is positioning Game Pass to be profitable. And I don't imagine that it won't be. And we can look at what it costs to develop a game, and we can look at how many games are actively in development, and we can compare that to the number of active subscribers in Game Pass, and we can calculate whether or not Xbox can be profitable. And it absolutely can be. Once we start getting north of 30 million, with their current stable of teams, this is, again, if we just, if Microsoft stopped spending billions and buying more studios, if we just look at what their current slate is, they get to 30 million, there is a reality where they are profitable on Game Pass. So they're still in an investment phase, and they're going to be buying more studios, and they're going to be making this bigger, and they're going to have a consistent stream, and that will exponentially increase how many subscribers they need to be profitable. But we can isolate Game Pass, and we can say that Game Pass is profitable with statistics, with math. It's boring. Nobody cares. They want the drama. They want the spice. But the reality is that yes, this can be profitable, and you don't need 500 million. Xbox will never have 500 million Game Pass subscribers. That figure is so astronomical. But
it's out of touch with reality. Asa, you're grinning there in the background. What is it that you're about to lay us on?
No, I just love the way we've come full circle, because earlier on in the podcast we were having a conversation about whether Flight Sim is a game or not. And now we're talking about like Excel spreadsheets on a gaming podcast. It's mind blowing.
That's so funny.
Who cares, right? Who cares if it's profitable? Microsoft have got money and they can finance it. And whether it's profitable or not depends on where you allocate the current costs of running all those studios. Where do you allocate the $7 billion they spent on ZeniMax? Where do you allocate that? Is it profitable? Is it not? Spreadsheets.
Yeah, especially
games. Just worry about when they say they might be increasing the Game Pass subscription cost. That's the only thing people should worry about. Like if you say it's not profitable, then maybe follow that up with, I'm just worried that they're going to start charging $30 a month for it. That's where you can actually start to make your little gripes here and there. But worrying about if Microsoft's making the money is obnoxious.
Just milk it then. Even if it isn't profitable. Like, I don't understand why someone who wants to play games doesn't look at that and say, oh, damn, I can play all these for this price. Yeah. On paper, it is ridiculous to look at the value of Game Pass and be like, how do they make money on this? You shouldn't care about that. If they aren't making money and they're still going to do it, who cares, really? The only people benefiting it from this are us and the people who want to take advantage of that service, because the reality is you don't make enough money in a year to buy all those games. Like that is the reality,
man. You're saving so much.
In fairness, like I think it is a fair concern that people should keep an eye on is if the games that come to Game Pass do veer away from their personal taste in games. So Shawn Layden in particular was head of PlayStation when PlayStation were purely making cinematic over-the-shoulder story games that don't have microtransactions. Okay, they have director's cuts now, but that probably wasn't there when he was in charge. So here's a 120 million game. Wasn't selling more because it would have been on Game Pass and had that whole like co-op element and all the rest of it. It wasn't a vehicle for other transactions. It was a 120 million game like a God of War or something. So his perspective is possibly coming from that angle. And as gamers, if you're going to look at services, forget the money. But if you're seeing that games are becoming a vehicle for microtransactions or something like that, then maybe you've got something valid to be concerned about. I don't. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying I'm not looking at Game Pass as it is today and saying that games are getting worse as far as I'm concerned, because that's not what I'm seeing. That's the only thing to be guarded about, though, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. The model of games that they'll follow, that's a real concern. I can feel that. Bernard Miller, thanks so much for the $2 super chat. Because people on Game Pass buy more games. That's a win for Xbox, and that's something Microsoft actually quite very quickly after the launch of Game Pass, they found that out. I remember reading up on it. So it's a win. And if you think it's unsustainable, top up your Game Pass for a good 3 years until Microsoft goes bankrupt. How stupid does that sound? But yeah, no, absolutely. Well, gents, we've gone past the an hour and a half, but I want to bring it back to games and just finally talk about video games and not Excel spreadsheets. And this stupid question about Game Pass sustainability, but it always comes up. And this time from notable figures. But bringing it back to gaming, Colt, what are you playing? And don't say Halo Infinite. What's your? I was going to ask you this. What do you think is going to be Game of the Year 2021?
Oh, right? I'm so glad you asked me this. Everybody is so funky about the exclusives, and they pick through the exclusives first to pick Game of the Year. I think this game wins hands down Game of the Year, and It Takes Two. It does more than any game that I've played in years. It changes it up at every level. Every level feels great, has great emotion and feel and gameplay, and visuals look really great. The sound, the voice acting, the message that it brings is absolutely incredible. I'm playing this game with my son. I played like the first quarter of it with Dealer months ago, and then we never finished it, and so I went back and started it with my son, and he's begging me every day to play the game. It's just really good. I don't know if you guys have played it. Mm-hmm. It's about a couple that is about to divorce, and their daughter kind of wills them into working together, and it's a co-op game, split screen or over the internet. That game, I hope they don't forget about it. It came out in February. Yeah, it's one of the greatest games that I've played this year. It just does everything perfectly. That's my game of the year. That's a good
shout. And I mean, you're right. I forgot about that. It came out this year, so that's quite. I hope that it doesn't get forgotten about, because it's doing quite a lot.
It's really amazing. it was made by the guy that said,
Joseph
flipped
Fares.
off Keeley and said, what's his name?
Joseph Fares.
Yeah, Joseph.
Yeah,
Fares.
I think it's so funny when I think about that he knew that they were finishing up It Takes Two, and he was so hyper about it because their game, what's it called? Jailbreak game. A Way Out. A Way Out, my friends played it, and they said, yeah, it was okay, it was kind of cool, but I think he knew they had a hit on the way, and he was super stoked, and that's why he was doing that at that show. This game's incredible. I've been playing that. I played through part of Death's Door. That game's so difficult, I haven't gone back, but playing the Ascent, playing Grounded with my kids, playing Halo Infinite, flighting. I'm a really happy gamer right now. It's really good.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at chat, and there's so many games that, wow, we're so spoiled. Even though this year's supposed to be a quiet year, we've got pretty big games. It Takes Two, I forgot about it, and that's so criminal because we did a preview of this. I mean, Asa, and we had so much fun on it. I need to go back on it once I settle down.
You haven't finished it?
No, I need to go back on it. But I'm gonna. There's a kind of game I'm gonna sit down, lock some time off, and just complete in 1 or 2 sittings because you can suck into that world. It's so much fun.
I don't know. I've said sometimes you feel like people use hyperboles when they talk about how games impact them, and I feel like I'm playing this game with my son, and I'm playing as the mom and he's playing as the dad, but the connection of us working together along with that message, it's undeniable what it's like it does for us as we sit on this couch back here and play the game as father and son. And one of my friends played the game all the way through with his brand new girlfriend. And I was, as I played the game, I'm like, I can't help but think that they built their relationship alongside that game, along with being together. And the message is so great. I don't know, I think that game, it really deserves Game of the Year. I don't know. It doesn't seem like a lot of people played it.
That's criminal, I think. I think that's criminal.
There's even a level... There's a level where my character took over and had to fight another character in the game, and it all of a sudden for 3 minutes it became a Street Fighter 2 type game. It went side scroll and it had all the buttons and the controls you'd expect from a side scrolling beat 'em up shooter or beat 'em up fighting game. And then another time it was a top down gauntlet game, and then it moved into a third-person shooter. It does first-person shooter stuff. It does every genre of gaming, and it switches it every 8 minutes. It's really incredible. And I'm done talking about it.
No, but that's a really good point. And then why games can't even get one genre, right? Here comes It Takes Two doing something that hasn't been done before, doing crouch co-op as well as online co-op, which we don't see.
I have to say something else. Hargeet Chani says, would Mass Effect Legendary Edition count? I don't know if remasters count for Game of the Year, but that is probably one of the best games I've played in probably 10 years. Is replaying Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Shout out to Fonz in the chat too. I don't know if that does that count. Asa, do you think, or Miles? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm kind of indifferent. If people want to make a case for it, sure. But it's technically not a new game this year.
Yeah, I wouldn't count it. I think it would be a bit silly to take out unless it's just something drastically new, like a remake. But that's not a remake. I wouldn't count it.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't think it's a video game like Microsoft Flight Simulator. I'm just playing. But Miles, what's your game of the year? Or do you think your game of the year will be? Sorry, it's still halfway through the year.
like you talked about, people say this year is kind of slow and there hasn't been much, but there's been so many amazing games. Hitman 3, It Takes Two, as Colt said, It Takes Two is probably the best platformer I've played since Super Mario Odyssey. And I thought Super Mario Odyssey was like the best 3D Mario that's ever been made. So that game is amazing. When it comes to platformers, that is probably the best platformer that you can play on Xbox, if you only play on Xbox. And if you play anywhere, you should play it. That game is so good. Death's Door, I'm near the end. I haven't finished it, but right now I'm at like a 9.5 out of 10. Death's Door is phenomenal. Absolutely love it. Resident Evil Village right now is probably still my game of the year. I beat it. God, I think I've beat it 8 times now. Maybe on my ninth playthrough. Like, Capcom killed it in such a huge way. Haven't loved a Resident Evil like that since Resident Evil 4. Like it's incredible.
Oh wow!
Shout out to Pokemon Unite, which I thought was going to be a dumpster fire piece of trash, awful, terrible, garbage looking, garbage playing game. I've put like 20 plus hours into that shit in the last 2 weeks. Like Pokemon Unite, don't sleep on that. If you love MOBAs at all, League of Legends, Smite, if you've played that, damn, dude.
Really?
Like I was so hard on the reveal of Pokemon Unite. Like, and I love Pokemon. I saw that and I was like, wow, this is going to be an absolute disaster. And I played it the first day in a party with some friends, and we're all like, is this good? Is this game like, why is this so fun? And here we are 2 weeks later. We've been playing every single day. So Pokemon Unite, free to play. Check it out. Absolutely love it. But in terms of game of the year right now, I'm going to say Resident Evil Village is my number one.
Jeez, that's
Wow.
I mean, thinking when Resident Evil Village came out this year, then you got Ratchet came out this year. There's loads. Returnal that was an incredible experience for me. There's so much goodness. Those are good choices. Very good choices.
Oh,
very
and
good
Forza
choices.
Horizon 5's coming, and I always play that game like crazy. So
I hope.
we eating good, as they always say. Yeah.
Yeah.
We eating good. Xbox gamers eating good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they ain't wrong, but it's still. It's a bit much.
Oh, that was a slight on someone.
Hey, the PlayStation had the killer first half of 2021, and now Xbox has got a killer last half of 2021. So if you're fortunate to get both consoles, and most games are out on your old console anyway, like it's just been a good year. I saw somebody say that 2021 was crap, but 2022 is looking great. But I've had a great year. I had a good time gaming.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, but well, one thing, Horizon Forbidden West has been delayed, or pretty much delayed. I don't think it's been officially announced yet, but it's pretty much the signs are there. I don't know, someone who blocked me to apparently espouse that it's been delayed, but I couldn't really see the message. But I hear from...
Yes!
Blocked! I blocked!
It's me, by the way. I blocked Gaz.
Well, Mr. Blocker of Gas, Asa, what would you say your game of the year looks like it would be?
Oh, that's nice. It's going to be nothing that's come out so far. I want Paris to like me, so I'm going to say Death's Door. No, I don't think no, I think media is trending towards Xbox in a big way now, so I think maybe Halo will take it this year. Obviously, I haven't played it yet like these two.
Ooh, that would be right. My only concern with Halo is that I think it comes out, or I'm expecting it to come out after the cutoff for the official game of the game award list.
Yeah.
I think it misses that cutoff. But if Halo won Game of the Year,
I don't see it happening. I think Halo might have some nice emotional touches from what we're seeing lately, but games that kind of have to have all of that. Great gameplay, great visuals, great feel, and a connection. Yeah, you really need that. Unless you're talking about Overwatch 2016. Boom!
I will say,
there are exceptions.
The ones that you already mentioned, though, of the games that have come out this year, It Takes Two, like the ones that have already come out this year, It Takes Two is my favourite in terms of quality. But no, I think it's going to trend Xbox. We've discussed Halo review scores in the past and the pressure that it's always under, and the fact that it's just never going to smash the reviews because it's a Halo game and there's just too much on it. But I still think sentiment is so positive that it will be split between one of those big Microsoft games at the tail end of the year. But we'll see. So you've got Forza Horizon and Halo.
A lot of people say a racer can't really win Game of the Year, which is annoying to me. I don't understand why.
I think Forza Horizon
it's not can't. It's not. Yeah, it's just they haven't. And of course, racers don't have a story, and story is what really hits memorable for people to give it. You know, because I think part of the Game of the Year awards has to do with like the Academy type situation, right? Like it has to have great characters and great voice acting and a great score and all that stuff. And the racing game's like,
I love that.
Yeah, but
I love that. You know, Forza Horizon 4 won Game of the Year for racing in 2018. It won the racing title. So
Yeah.
that's about as far as it goes.
Previous Forza games, though, were not announced at E3. They were announced ahead of it because they just didn't have that draw. This one was announced at E3 and was the standout showpiece of E3, and the response to it was phenomenal. So it could be different this time.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm banking on that because of that uncharacteristic reception to a racer and its featuring at E3. So hopefully. Hungry Chinese, sorry, I missed your earlier super chat. Goes, we got some numbers on MLB The Show, so I wonder if that helped or hurt Game Pass hurt the Game Pass calls for Sony. It definitely helped. They had record sales for MLB The Show despite being on Game Pass. Think of that what you will. It's not being, it's not cannibalizing sales at all. So there's that. But yeah, now if Halo Infinite becomes Game of the Year, oh man, that means it's going to be insane. We're going to have an incredible year of games. And I will say this, I am very, very happy, genuinely, that indie games are being talked in the same breath as big games. Because you're seeing it, people, like you in Console Wars, we do this where we drag, Indie Station or Indie Xbox stuff. That narrative is falling apart because both sides are relying on these games now. But both games, they're so beautiful, man. Death's Door is an indie game. The Ascent is a 12-man studio, essentially an indie title. Kena Bridge of Spirits looks insane. Sifu, the game, is next year, has been delayed now. Looks incredible. That's probably one of my most anticipated games of all time. Balance has been restored. The AAA model isn't as important to gaming as it was last generation, because gamers are finally going to enjoy gaming as it should be, and so it's brilliant.
Just good games, yeah,
just good games. And Game Pass is the one at the forefront that makes that happen, in my opinion. It plays a big part in doing that because everyone's talking about the excitement of getting to play these good-looking games in the same breath as Flight Sim. The Ascent has been talked about it, got a lot of mind share, so it's good. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been an incredible show. We've talked about all manner of different things, from Halo Infinite and how these two pieces of got to play before we did. But we'll next time. Oh, by the way, don't do the mistake I made. If you didn't get into the flighting, I didn't find this out until after the fact. If you go on Halo Waypoint, you have to opt in not just only to the flighting, but you have to opt into the communications bit as well. I didn't do that because I don't want to get spam, but apparently you have to do that. Silly me. What an idiot that I thought where it says opt in for flighting, I would be opted in for flighting, right? Yeah, that doesn't work that way. So opt in for comms as well. Hopefully we get the next batch of invites, so good luck with that. But yeah, thank you so much for everyone. Thank you so much for the super chats. Lovely of you guys. And your support, it helps fund, I guess, the source. It doesn't dent our costs, but it doesn't matter because we love it, and we're going to go double down on the source so hard. I hope you appreciate the production values. It's only going to get better as we learn how to do the editing and shit like that. Thank you so much. But before we go, I have to give these gents an opportunity to tell us what's on the horizon for these lovely content creators. What are they working on? Because you guys you're creating, ovulating. Oh, that's a bad word. Gestating. I was going to say gestating, but that sounds weird. Give me Scorn vibes. Miles, what are you working on? What can your fans look forward to in the future?
So yeah, if you want to check out my ovulations, you can. I make videos over on Windows Central, Windows Central's gaming channel. I'm always working on something. It's been slow in the news period, but a really cool piece I did recently is I got to sit down with Jason Ronald of Xbox Hardware to talk about FPS boost, backwards compatibility, and kind of what the future of that looks like. So that was amazing. If you're into the nitty gritty, really involved details of what goes into an FPS boost game, check that out. It gave me a much greater appreciation because they get spammed with requests constantly, and we think they just flip a switch and that shit is good to go. But no, especially in the case of Dark Souls 3, it sounds like that was an absolute gauntlet that they went through to get Dark Souls 3 running. So that was awesome. I'm working on a few other interviews as well, and I think some game previews coming up. So subscribe, smash the like button, hit that bell, and send me terrible memes on Twitter.
I will do. I will definitely do. Thank you so much, Miles. I hope you had a good time on the show. You killed it as always. And yes, man, well done for getting Jason wrong. Jason, why are you coming on our show? Don't be worried about the source. Or maybe I think we've kind of written out big guests coming on our show because we're a bit too saucy. But I'll keep it. The Game On Daily keeps it real, man. And
that's what it's all about, brother.
It's all about keeping it real. But we might have some game devs who we've been talking about on the show coming on very soon.
Ooh, stay tuned.
But yeah, stay tuned, definitely. Colt Eastwood, how you doing, brother? Do you make videos anymore?
Yeah, I made a video for Friday, I think it was. Yeah, it's been, like Miles said, it's so weird. It's been a constant ramp up of gaming news for the past 3 or 4 years until E3 settled out, and now everything's kind of like, now just wait for the games to come. So yeah, it's been kind of quiet. So I just launched a podcast thanks to Asa and Gaz for giving me motivation and tech support and emotional support and upper body support. No, but it's been been crazy. I've got this show and bringing people on. You guys have been on there, and I'm trying to get some people from Xbox on as news comes out. But when there's not news, gotta wait. So yeah, I've been doing my thing on YouTube at Colt Eastwood, tweeting at Colt Eastwood on Twitter, and just playing Halo Flighting, which Gaz hasn't been able to play yet.
Thanks for that. And on that note, I hate you. Thanks for that. But yeah, no, definitely.
Thanks to 343. Yeah, big thanks to 343.
Big shout to 343.
And also, big shout out to their community manager. John was messaging me behind the scenes and made sure everything was smoothed out. And then they had so many of the official, or the invite that got you the access, like told you how to get access when it was all up and running. Like those emails took hours to get out of their servers. It was crazy. Yeah, I don't know. I've never had to do that. Send invites to thousands and thousands of people, but there they are. I've been playing it. So
hopefully it gets smoother. 343. You cannot mess up with launch. You just cannot have a Master Chief collection scenario. But hopefully this will help to avoid that. But yeah, thank you so much, both gents. You smashed it. As always, and thank you, chat, as well. We had some great good questions. Asa, you're always very busy. You play a lot of games, which is good. But what's in the horizon for Asa_GameOnDaily? What are you playing lately?
Oh, loads of stuff. I can't play Halo Infinite, so tomorrow I'm going to compensate by playing Halo Wars and Halo 2 as much as I can on stream. I stream different stuff every day of the week on Asa_GameOnDaily on Twitch. So I'll keep doing that. I'll keep uploading the 4K HDR stuff onto YouTube afterwards. And yeah, find me there. Come chat. And thanks again. So Miles and Colt are both great to talk to on here. And we need to play some more games. I'm going to make Miles play the Ascent and stuff like that.
I need to smash Gaz at some Halo here.
Bring it, man! I will end you. I'll end you. Well, I'm gonna make it. I'll make a video, Miles versus Gaz. Let's put some money down. Let's put some high stakes on it. I will go in. People paid for that. People to watch that because
pay-per-view.
Pay-per-view. I will destroy. There's a practice mode in that Halo that looks mad. I can't wait.
You'll need it. You'll need it.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah, this ain't Apex Legends, Gaz. This is Halo.
It doesn't matter, man. Doesn't matter. By the way, viewers, this might be my last time in this studio. I bought a new house and I'm setting up my studio. And my boy here, Sam, who has been kind enough to accommodate me for a year. All thanks to him. The source monologues might still happen here until he kicks me out because this is a spiritual place here. But the source, the go live videos might be happening at my new studio, which is painted and on stuff. I can't wait to share with you with new equipment and stuff. But I want to give a shout out to Sam. Thank you, man.
Pleasure. Look, anytime. I'm honored that the source videos get made here. And I'm gonna be in the next. I want to be in the next one.
You can be in the next one. Just bear in mind that it comes with a lot of risks socially. But yeah, absolutely. We will be ramping up content, and we are going to be delivering the next source video. Trust me, the pressure's on. I just want to make it way better than the last one every time. So hopefully, I do well by you. Although it doesn't get that many views. YouTube algorithm is cruel. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. It's good to be back. We're going to get saucy, and we really are ramping up content as soon as we settle down. But thank you so much. Take care. Love you all. Peace out. West Side. Hey everyone, welcome to Go Live.
Feel Dominos, Maximus, Aurelius, Spencer.
That I love playing games, but I'm also a massive nerd when it comes to the tech. Someone at Sony that remembers that is going to drive a lorry through the wall and say, hey everybody, PlayStation's at E3, we don't hate our fans, let's go, and put on their own show.
Put on their own show.
Is that wild enough?
Welcome to Versus. In this series, 2 contestants go head-to-head in a battle to the death. In this episode, we have 2...
Obviously I could get him, but I'd rather throw a brick at his head.
All right, welcome to the show. This is the Xbox Newscast podcast. Please remember to be respectful to each other, try to have some constructive criticism, and be nice.
What is going on, everyone? This is Miles with Windows Central Gaming, and welcome to the 34th episode. Earlier this year, I went down the rabbit hole and dug up some interesting information that pointed to the developer I believed could be working on the next Silent Hill game.